Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as United basically admit they're broke. There will be no tens of millions of pounds to bring players in like a Cody Gakpo or anybody else. United will be exclusively operating in the loan market, which basically has got nothing to do with we believe that there's value for money in loans. It's everything to do with the fact that we're broke, we're desperate, and we cannot compete with other clubs in the race for top four in January, and that's the bottom line. We physically, financially are not serious about this top four race. We're basically giving another manager two arms tied behind their back to go and compete against Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, Spurs, with no money. And this is why this club hasn't won a title for 10 years. This is why this club is never consistently in the Champions League. And this is why this fan base gets excited about results last night when we beat a relegation fodder comfortably, because we've got some very good players, but we haven't got good enough players to go and do that at Anfield or the Etihad, and we never will have until we get the investment into the football club. And that's basically it, isn't it? It's not opinion, that's pure fact. So let's dive into it, because we've got some comments coming in from Erik ten Hag, Simon Stone, The Athletic, loads to get into. I'll put Simon Stone's quote up there because this is, it's an uphill battle, Bath, it really is. Because this is something I've been saying for quite a while now about what I think will happen. I love this comment and I will shout it out. It's from Jonathan, who says 210 million last summer. Jonathan, you got shit presents for Christmas, didn't you? You go to sleep angry about Manchester United and how big a football club do, don't you? I can't expose an idiot more than you spent 210 million last year, because you don't understand our football club. So, why are you on the United Stand news show sticking your nose in a beehive and then moaning when your face is covered in stings? I just wanted to chat. No, you're a prat. You're a turbo prat. You stuck your nose in something and you got bopped. That's what happened. Bosh. Over. There is nothing more idiotic in football than, and we saw it with Jermaine Genius a couple of years ago on the BBC when United got the game postponed against Liverpool, and he said, I don't know why they're getting moaning about it. The Glazers spent $1 billion in the last 10 years. What's the problem? Well, the problem is you, because you don't educate yourself on what the problem is. Imagine walking around someone's house and saying, I can't understand why you're not happy living in this house with all these leaks. At least you've got a roof over your head. Yeah, it's got leaks in it. You don't live here. Shut up and jog on, you turbo prat. We did spend £210 million in the summer. We overspent. We spent it badly. We bought good players in, but we overspent. We've got no money to spend in January because we've got prats who spent 210 million instead of 150 million. But you get idiots who go, man, I can't believe they're moaning. Can't believe they're moaning. They spent 200 million pounds in the summer and they want to spend more. Jeffrey. Yeah, okay. We did spend 200 million pounds in the summer, and every United fan knows we shouldn't have spent 200 million pounds in the summer. We should have another 50 now ready to spend, because we overspent. Anthony is a player I really like. We overspent by 35 million quid because we were desperate. That 35 million quid would have bought us Cody Gakpo in January. End of story. So anybody who comes on here going, you spent 200 million pounds in the summer. Yes, we did. And that is actually a very good point as to why we're broke now, because we overspent in the summer. When you need to build a car, you don't spend all the money on the wheels and not the body and the engine. And that's what United did. We've spent our whole budget wrong because we couldn't negotiate ourselves out of a paper bag. But look, let's go on with the show. Mark, the financials say we do not have the capacity to pay lump sum amounts until we take more debt or pay instalments, says Gurav. We don't sell, we don't buy, period, says Gurav. Team viewer pulling sponsorship. Glazers stopped taking dividends. Summer signings bought on credit line. Club up for sale. Glazers bled as dry, Mark, says Clarkey. I agree. And officially, Erik ten Hag is not being backed. Also, sick of the nonsense about 250 spend. You could halve most of that real value of those players as SK. Oh, 100%. 100%. I think Malacia was good value. I think Martinez is brilliant, but we paid 15 million too much. I think Casemiro is brilliant. We probably paid 10 million too much, considering he's 30. Anthony, we spent 35 million too much. Ericsson was a free. I can't remember whether we... Yeah, so we overspent by 50 million, easily. And that 50 million would buy us a striker now. So if you're looking for somebody to blame about why we're broke, don't ever skip past the fact that we overspent by 50 million in the summer and that's all we need now. We need a right back and we need a striker, and we're delving into the loan market, and we're looking at people like Memphis. I mean, that just says everything that's wrong with United, and it's the cycle of shit that we have to go through all the time. You get the positivity of the performance last night. You've got a manager and team that is responding and working well for the first time in years. And then you finish a game and you read this shit and you go, this is why we fail. Even when you bring the right manager in and the players respond to him, he's not getting backed. This would be like Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola when they first went into Liverpool and Man City and they start building something. And instead of the club doing what it did do and saying, we've got the right man here, the players really like him, let's back him, they go, handbrake on, yeah, you're not buying another right back, Pep, because you know what? We've got a loan deal from the Championship. He's played at Preston, here he comes. You know, that's just not how you build a football club. And this is why we're desperately crying out to bring new owners in. I was listening to Ten Hag last night, and he basically said, you know, we do need to bring players in, but they've got not only to match the sporting direction, but the financial direction as well. Basically, he can't. When a manager says we need to bring a player in, but they've got to match the financial side as well, that's bullshit. No manager logically goes, I like this player, but financially it doesn't work. I like this player and he's cheap and it works. Let's get him. Though, and any manager wants the best they can get. And, you know, if you're foolish enough this morning to think that Ten Hag is being backed, then I'm sorry, when a manager comes out and says the players that they bring in must match the financial criteria, when financial criteria is mentioned by a manager, it basically means it's a cry for help to let the fans know he is not being backed financially. Because when he says there's financial restrictions, you know he's not getting backed properly. He's not getting what he wants. He's not getting plan A. Might not be getting plan B. And if you don't deliver plan A to top four clubs, you don't be a top four club. And that's where we're at the moment. And the sooner the Glazers go, the better. Simple as that. Daniel says Memphis Depay may not even want to come. But there we go. Right, so let's go straight into some of the news. Memphis Depay has been mentioned a few times as the kind of striker Manchester United might try and sign in January. And I tell you what jumps out at me there, because I don't mind Memphis as a player. I don't mind Memphis as a player. I've got no problem with that. I don't want him at United for a multitude of reasons. I mean, Liverpool bought Gakpo. That's a big idea that Gakpo was a player worth looking at. Are Liverpool looking at Memphis? Are Man City looking at Memphis? Are Arsenal looking at Memphis? Are Bayern Munich looking at Memphis? Are PSG looking at Memphis? No, they're not. And that's it. Case closed. We're trying to buy a player, or we could be linked to a player, that nobody decent wants. And also, we're trying to buy Memphis, who was quite clearly a long way behind Gakpo in a World Cup a month ago. Now, I don't buy players based on the World Cup, but it was very obvious that Cody Gakpo's way better than Memphis. So I've got nothing against Memphis, but my issue is we're clearly going for a player that's nowhere near as good as a player that's just signed for Liverpool. And it's got nothing to do with Memphis or Gakpo, but I've been saying this for years. If you want to compete with the best, you've got to buy players that the best want. You can't compete with the best by letting them buy the best and you buy stuff they don't want. It will take a bloody miracle. And that's why last summer was quite good, because we got Casemiro, Liverpool would love him. Martinez, I think, is a player they wouldn't mind as well. But you can't start and then, it's frustrating, because we did bring good players in the summer, and now we're reverting back to what we've done over the last decade, where we bring shit in for expensive, shit comparable to where we need to be. Do you think Erik Ten Hag wants a forward who can run with the ball rather than a poacher? Gakpo, Martial, Depay, Felix, says Jude. I think he wants an adaptable forward. We've seen it with Rashford. He's a winger who can go up front. Martial is adaptable. You know how every lone striker free agent is going to ask for over-the-top wages now, says SK. That'd be ridiculous expensive. But what grabs me about that, and we've got a lot to go through this morning, it's not Memphis. I've been saying to you for weeks we'll end up with Memphis. I'm convinced. Because it's a typical United desperate deal where we'll pay him big wages, give him a large contract, and ultimately it's typical Glazeronomics to go and get Memphis. But what makes me laugh the most about this is we haven't got a bloody clue. And I don't know whether I'm sure many of you've picked up on this, which is why I put it on the screen. When I read that this morning, it wasn't Memphis that set the alarm bells. It was one thing, and I'll give you a few seconds to see if you can guess what my issue is with that statement from Simon Stone. because we spoke about it a couple of days ago, and it's my biggest fear about this January transfer window, and there is no excuse for it, and it actually exposes that we did want Gakpo, and that we are absolutely not prepared again. It's the same as last summer. We bought some good players in last summer, but you remember it, I remember it, it was not organised, it was carnage, it was chaos. We're chucking 85 million at Ajax with a week to go in the transfer window. We're going from Rabiot and Arnautovic to Casemiro. We didn't buy anybody until the start of July. You know, we went on tour with hardly any of our new signings. Last summer was carnage. We lost the first 2 games of the season. We were not prepared. Murta, Arnold, whoever, want to paper over the cracks that was a good transfer window. It was pure desperation. We overspent by 50 million quid. We didn't get the players in for pre-season training. It was an absolute shit show, that transfer window. Got some good players, but organisation-wise, it was shit. And that's what that stands to me. Memphis Depay is a player that Man United are considering next month. Hold on a minute. Ronaldo did his interview at the start of fucking November. Cavani left in June. What's this we might go for Memphis next month bullshit? Why are we not getting somebody in 3 days? You've known that Cavani went 6 months ago. You knew Ronaldo went 2 months ago. Why is your replacement striker not coming in on January the 1st, lads? What's this we might go for Memphis in January? I tell you what that is. That means you haven't got a fucking clue what you're doing. You might go for Memphis, you might not. We'll have to see because we haven't got a fucking clue. That's what that says to me. It also says we might go for Memphis, which is a bit of a concern, but it also says we haven't got a Scooby-Doo what we're doing. Scooby-Doo? We got no idea what we're doing. We've got absolutely no idea. If that is true, we might go for Memphis. Oh, when might we do that then? 31st of Jan, about 6 o'clock. We might go for that. Waste a whole month when we're playing Arsenal, Man City and cup games. What's going on? You don't know what you're going to do on January the 1st. I don't think they do. And I tell you for why. I think they did think they were going to sort a deal out for Gakpo. Liverpool have come in and United have gone, oh shit. That's it. We've got no plan. And I genuinely think United haven't got a plan. I think their plan was some weird Gakpo deal that they thought they could get him for a packet of crisps or something, or an IOU. And I think they're right up the creek without a paddle now. And that's what I thought when I saw that Memphis thing. To replace Ronaldo with Depay would be at least 100 step downs. Unbelievable, says Karan. Morning, Mark. It's like how we nearly had an Arnautovic and Rabiot. Whoever is making the decision, it's ridiculous, says Tom. Klopp was right. United is a circus, and what to have at circus? You have clowns, says Ginger Red. So that's the update from Simon Stone. Very good journalist. He's mentioned in Memphis. I suppose the next thing to bring in is what Laurie Whitwell has said. So Erik ten Hag is determined to add to his attack, but Manchester United declined to go for Cody Gakpo due to finances, and the decision has now been made that only loans in January are affordable. Well, look, the thing about bringing a quote in from a news outlet is that what can't speak, it's there for you to read in front of us. And again, I read that, and there are positives in there that Ten Hag wants a striker, but the overarching summary of what that says below is that the manager wants a striker, but the club won't back him. That's basically what that says. You can write it in many different ways. We will get somebody in, yeah, but it'll be a loan deal. That is not backing somebody. I said it yesterday. Liverpool's front six now is Gakpo, Jota, Diaz, Firmino, Nunez, Salah. Our front six at the moment, if I can get to six, is Rashford, Martial, Anthony, Sancho when he comes back, Garnacho, Elanga. It's just not good enough. And Liverpool are not in the top four. They're chasing us down. And people will go, well, Liverpool are not our competitors. They fucking are. They are. If they leapfrog us, they're chasing Spurs and Newcastle for top four. So Liverpool are our direct rival this season. And they've got a front six like that, and they'll probably buy a midfielder. We're going, we can't afford anybody. We're looking at loans. I mean, can you imagine Liverpool in January chasing top four and going, there's no money, we're looking at loan deals. Loan deals are, who's available on loan in January? Flops. That's who's available. Who's available cheap in January? Flops. Memphis is a flop at Barcelona. Felix is a flop at Atletico Madrid. It doesn't mean I wouldn't take Joao Felix. I think that, under a manager like Erik ten Hag, I would take him. But they're not. You get what you pay for in football, basically. And a loan deal is pure desperation, and that's where United are. And I was thinking about this just before I went live this morning. What a result last night. What a performance last night. But it is Forest at home. It's a relegation team at home. And we've got some very, very good players. Our bar is not Nottingham Forest or Fulham. Our bar is meant to be Arsenal and Man City. We are playing them both in a couple of weeks' time. Do you seriously think we have the first 11 to go toe-to-toe with them? Because we certainly don't have the bench. And we're talking about loan deals. I think it's just embarrassing, really, just how far away we actually are from where we think we are. We need a good quality squad depth to compete. Overspent on players now, unwilling to back Ten Hag after their own mistakes, says Grant. Thank you very much. If loans are what is possible, then that's what's stopping the board from getting for Felix, says Sag. Well, look, let's develop what Laurie Whitwell's spoken about there, and we'll go on to what Fabrizio Romano has said about this. Fabrizio's basically said, United want a striker, not a winger. They will decide with Eric Ten Hag. They've held conversations with George Mendes about Joao Felix, but that's not their only option. And I think that one of the spin areas that United are looking at on this Gakpo deal is they're trying to say that they don't want a winger, they want a striker, which is hilarious because Cody Gakpo will end up being a striker and played behind the strikers centrally in the World Cup. So this bullshit that he's an out-and-out winger is pure bullshit. But in the same summary from Romano there, is talking about wants a striker, but we're talking to Joao Felix, who again is not an out-and-out striker. So we contradict ourselves constantly. You know, I think there are fans out there and who want to believe that we weren't in for Gakpo because he's not an out-and-out striker, but there is no out-and-out striker available in January. You know, unless you're going to buy Thuram. I don't think Memphis is an out-and-out striker. You know, Memphis was a winger who can play centrally. Like, you know, we're not clearly not looking for an out-and-out striker. We're looking for an adaptable forward, which is why we probably are linked to Joao Felix. The thing about Joao Felix is that there's not a massive financial difference between going for Cody Gakpo and going for Joao Felix. The package that Liverpool have paid for Cody Gakpo is 37 million with add-ons, and his wages are probably somewhere between 5 and 10 million, I suppose. So, you know, overall, they've probably spent 45 million on Cody Gakpo in January. Now, if United want Joao Felix, they will have to pay about 5, rumoured to be 8 million as a loan fee and another 15 million in wages. So that's, you know, you're well on for 20 million there, and you don't own the player in the summer. So I don't see how we can afford Joao Felix, to be honest with you. I don't. I mean, I hope we get him. If we want to get top 4, you've got to get Joao Felix. I'm going to say it right now. I don't think United will get top 4. I said it in August, I said it in the World Cup break, and I'll say it after we beat Forest. I don't think we're going to get top 4 because I just don't think we've got the backing and squad to do it. I think we've got too many trophies that we're competing in, and we'd have a squad that's not big enough, and we've got some major areas of weakness. I also think another big factor is that our rivals are strengthening and looking better. So I think it's going to be very, very difficult. But if we want to be in the top 4, and if you look at the league table this morning, it looks very possible. You've got to go and get Joao Felix. Now, whether the club will do that or not, I don't know. Glazers need to go now. Very frustrating, says Stowboy. Billy Hughes, welcome to the Members Club. Karan has just gifted 5 members. Brilliant. Legend of the chat, Karan. And welcome Edgar as well. Sujoy says it's also important to note that Liverpool too is going through a potential takeover bid, but isn't hindering their transfer activities and ambition. Sujoy, can I just want to stand up and applaud that, actually. This is something I thought about last night, and it's absolutely the contrast between Manchester United and Liverpool. Now, I mentioned this a few weeks ago when we found out that United were for sale and Liverpool for sale. Liverpool are for sale, and the reason they're for sale is because their owners want to cash in, but also don't feel that they can compete with the likes of Newcastle and Man City. So, Liverpool owners basically, whilst they are businessmen, they have run the club very well over the last decade. They've won a Champions League, they've won their first ever Premier League, they've consistently competed for those trophies even when they didn't win them. So Liverpool fans have every right to discuss their owners and be happy with them or not, but from the outside in, they've done reasonably well over 10 years. They're selling to make a profit, but they're also selling because they don't feel that they can compete against the Man Cities and the Newcastles. So Liverpool are looking to sell, and they're looking to sell an asset that's in a good position. And they'll also look to sell to people who want to take the club to the next level. So the owners of Liverpool are going to make a big profit, but they want the legacy to continue that they've started, and also they are aware that Champions League football makes them more valuable, so they're bringing players in. Contrast that with United's owners, the Glazers, who couldn't give a shit about anything but themselves and just want to make a profit. They've got us overpriced on the market at 6 billion. We're not worth that. They won't buy in January because, again, they don't want to spend any money. And they couldn't give a shit about whether we're in the Champions League next year or not. I'm sorry, if I'm a prospective buyer, I'm buying Liverpool. Not obviously, as a United fan, I want to buy United, but if I'm a prospective buyer from the Middle East or wherever, and you've got Liverpool who are buying players in January trying to get in the Champions League and are cheaper, and then you've got Man United who are being run into the ground and overpriced, I mean, it just shows you everything about what Man United is and what Liverpool are. Liverpool are up for sale and they're buying players to try and get in the Champions League and make themselves look better to a buyer. The Glazers are like, we want 2 billion more than we're worth and we're not buying anyone anyway. Take it or leave it. It makes your stomach turn, doesn't it? Kia says, at this point, Thuram is our best option. That's cheap but physically strong. Overall, a decent striker until the summer and new owners, says Kia. But you know what, Kia? You've got to go back to what we've just been talking about. Man United can only do loan deals. He would cost money, Thuram. I know he's only got 6 months left on his contract, but he would cost money. Our club's recruitment is like going to the store and seeing bottles of fresh milk and then going home. The milk has gone off a long time ago, says Arjun. Thank you very much for that. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe, by the way. Pan says, how much wages does Ronaldo free up? You know what? Another good point. Ronaldo going does free up wages, but you know, where is that money? I've said it before, our new striker will be someone not currently being linked. I trust Erik ten Hag will apply the pressure to drive through a deal. Believe, says Charlie Max. Charlie, you make a good point, and potentially you might be right, but I'll go back to what I said about the Memphis thing. The fact that Ronaldo did an interview 2 months ago, and United are stood there, you know, bewildered, like a rabbit in the headlights, and it's December the 28th, and we can literally have a new player here on Sunday. They haven't got a bloody clue what they're doing. This is real football. We are playing Arsenal, Man City in 2 weeks' time. We have got Cup quarterfinals, FA Cup, semi-finals if we get through that, all in January, and we're talking about we'll do some business in January. Why have we not got a plan in place? We haven't clearly got a plan in place. Loan deals means you know what's going on. I know what's going on. They haven't got anything ready. They're not prepared. Well, we're looking at panic deals is what you're looking at. They're not prepared for what is, without question, one of the biggest January transfer windows we've ever known, because it's one of the most competitive top four races. We've had a World Cup in the mid-season, and squad depth is going to be huge, and we are dancing around for loan deals. It would be funny if it wasn't so worrying, and I don't think we've got a plan in place. I think the plan was clearly Gakpo, and now the club are talking about loan deals was always the plan. Well, I'll tell you what then, if loan deals was always the plan, why is the plan not walking in the door on January the 1st? That will be the acid test. If you weren't in for Gakpo, where's your plan? And the same thing happened with Haaland a couple of years ago. I almost feel deja vu, and if somebody's been on this channel for a while, you'll remember this. Ollie sat there, it wasn't 2 years ago, it must have been 3 or 4 years ago. Ollie sat there with a grin on his face in the middle of December. He'd been over to Salzburg, he was asked about Haaland, and he had a big grin on his face, and everyone thought we were getting him, and then we didn't. And then the club started putting it out there that they didn't even want him. And I remember doing a video and saying, well, okay, but if we didn't want Haaland, he wasn't plan A, let's show us what the plan A was on January the 1st. And we didn't get any. I think that might have been the Igalo year, to be honest, that was right at the end of the month. So I'm very confident that will happen again. We didn't want Gakpo. We're desperate for a striker. We knew Ronaldo was leaving 2 months ago. But basically, we haven't got a fucking clue. We already have 4 Gakpos in our team. I'm not salty. I'm glad he's gone to Liverpool. We need a striker as well as Felix, as Sean Turner. And happy holidays, Mark. With the loan of Felix, a 20 million investment now will be made back by qualifying for the Champions League, says Kyle. You could say the same about Gakpo, mate. A £40 million investment now would get you the Champions League money back as well. I seriously doubt the business acumen of the Glazers. If I were them, I would buy not one, but buy a few players to make sure that we qualify for the Champions League, says Karan. Look, we're Manchester United, in the words of Gary Neville. We're Manchester United, but that's not how football works now. You can't just be arrogant because we're not that Man United anymore. We can't just go, oh, let Spurs do that, let Newcastle do that, let Liverpool get Gakpo. We spend a lot of time analysing our rivals because we know we're weak. And if our rivals get stronger while we're weak, we become more vulnerable. It's not just about what these loan deals are going to be and how terrifying they are, because I don't think you get many good loan deals. It's also, what are our rivals doing? And Newcastle have got money. Spurs were very good in the January transfer window last year. Chelsea have got money, and Liverpool are already spending money. That's what concerns me. I think our squad, wherever it is at the moment, is going to fall further behind our rivals who are going to invest better. And that makes us weaker. And that's my concern as well. And I think it's a very valid concern. Love the United family. Keep up the great work. You do. Thank you very much to LPC. I seriously have done that one as well. So there's a couple of other updates I want to bring you as well. United want a striker. This was also from Fabrizio. Man United had the chance to sign Gakpo for a long time, but they never made any bid with PSV. The talks were between the agent and never with PSV. Ten Hag had his name on his list, but United decided not to make a bid. And I'm very pleased that someone of Fabrizio's credibility puts that out there, because I had some really, Alex Crook from TalkSport was messaging me yesterday. A couple of other people dropped me WhatsApps, and they were like, it's not worth publicly having an argument in an article about it, but United screwed that Gakpo deal up. He was 100% Ten Hag's plan A for January. And that was from very, very credible people. But Romano's put it out there as well. And I appreciate that, because you will get some journalists who just want to be in the press conference who won't say anything bad, even though they've wrote things about how United want Gakpo a few weeks ago. But it's well known in the industry that United's Ten Hag wanted Gakpo and United said no. And that's all you need to walk. You can do what you want with that information. But that is what is out there, and that's what Fabrizio's saying there as well. Ten Hag wanted Gakpo. Gakpo would have come to United. United said there's no money. You don't get the player, and he goes to your biggest rival. Now, as Sean said, he's not that bothered. If Liverpool get Gakpo, maybe you're not that bothered, but it is the player that Ten Hag wanted, and he's gone to Liverpool. And however you dress that up, and many people will go, well, hopefully we'll get new owners, but he will be at Liverpool now for the next 5 years. It's not like Gakpo's going to come to United in the summer. Ten Hag has missed out on a player that he really wanted. And they've gone to their rival. And whose fault is that? It's not your fault. It's not Ten Hag's fault. It's not Gakpo's fault. It's the Glazers' fault, as is many things. It does undermine the manager, Ken. It's a real blow. It's a real blow. As I said before, imagine, the girl or boy of your dreams that you want to marry, they're willing to marry you, and, you've got a really good relationship. You go on holiday, you come back, and they've married your biggest rival. It's a kick in the teeth, and it's a kick somewhere else as well. We have to move on, but we will move on, because ultimately, as United fans, it's not the first time this has happened. Like, this has happened to Mourinho, it's happened to Van Gaal, it's been happening for years. The hardest thing at Man United, and I said it when we got Erik Ten Hag, loads of people were like, when do you think he'll win us the league? When do you think this will happen? And I said, I believe that this man can win us the league. But it won't be down to him. It'll be down to whether he's allowed to win us the league. Pep Guardiola can't win the league at Man United. Jurgen Klopp can't win the league at Man United. And Erik Ten Hag cannot win the league at Man United when things like this are still happening. You can't compete with clubs that back their manager when your club doesn't. And that's why that stupid comment about £200 million in the summer is so thick. Because even if you took that on face value, United need to spend about £500 million to get into a title race. So even if you're not intelligent enough to know that we overspent badly in the summer and used up our January budget, that needed to happen for the next 2 years anyway. It's not, you can't spend 200 million on the worst ever United Premier League side and expect to compete. You have to do it again and again. So even these idiots who go, you spent 200 million in the summer, so fucking what? We need to spend another 200 million and another 200 million. We're bloody miles off. So that is where Ten Hag has a problem. Not that I don't think he's good enough, I do. But if he doesn't get backed, he can't succeed. And it must be very difficult to see a player that you know, that you've spent the last 3 years watching at PSV, that you share an agent with, that you want at your club to take you to the next level, going to your biggest rival. It must be horrible. But, welcome to the Man United that we know and despise under the Glazers. Thomas says, I hope you had a good Christmas. Don't you think we could lose Erik Ten Hag? He could go Dutch national team because we don't support him at the club, says Thomas. No, I don't think so. I think Erik Ten Hag is still in the honeymoon period at Man United. He may not know what you know. I think he's too early in the job to not be in love with the job. We saw it with Van Gaal. We saw it with Mourinho. He's not at that point yet where he realises that he's in trouble and he can't compete. I still think he's at that point where there's progression every day. We played very well last night. It'll take a couple of years of not being able to get close to Man City before he realises that, this job's not the right place for him, and that might never happen if we get the new owners in. That's what we're putting all our hope on. Good morning, Mark. Hope you and the family have had a lovely Christmas and enjoying the holidays. Come on the tune, says Darren. Are you too, mate, as well? Why does this club never learn? Invest properly. Buying a stopgap every year is pathetic business. I question how these guys even became rich, says Dan. And when your opponent put high octane fuel in their cars, but you barely managed to fill yours up with crude oil, you can't expect to win any race, says Kia. Well, I suppose it's all about where we go from here. And there is a bit of positive news. He played very, very well last night. Fabrizio saying that Marcus Rashford's contract has been extended. Man United will meet with his agents to offer a new long-term deal soon. Ten Hag is obsessed with Rashford as a key part of his project, which at this moment in time, you wouldn't really argue with either, would you? But look, I think there's so many positives from last night. Casemiro, for me, looks like one of the best midfielders in the world at the moment. Rashford's in form. I'm quite... Varane, magnificent last night. Luke Shaw, brilliant. Some really good performances last night. But, I was getting a lot of messages from people last night. Oh, unbelievable! Can't believe it! Oh, we were so good! Oh, I'm not gonna lay it down on the I'm not gonna be realistic. I'm just gonna get pumped up and excited. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I get that. It was really good to watch, but are we gonna go and do that at the Etihad? No. Are we going to go and do that at the Emirates? No, we're not. Are we going to do that at Old Trafford against Man City in a couple of weeks? No, I don't think we will. I think that we're still a very, very long way away, and we shouldn't be. We've got some really good players and we've got a really good coach. And if you build on what I would say about United is, it's very, very clear that we're in a very different place than we've been in for many years. There is positivity. There is the team is united and we've got a really good coach, but we're still a long way off. I would say at the end of last season we're miles off, and we're probably there now, but we're still a long way off. But we are moving, and suddenly the handbrake's gone on, and we're still a long way off. We are progressing, but it feels like they've put the handbrake on to Ten Hag now, and actually the only way you can keep progressing is to keep building, and they're almost. Well, in a very blunt way, the handbrake is on at United. The message is we're broke and we're not spending any more money. The club is in trouble. They need to build a stadium, they need to build a team, and the club is up for sale. And unlike Liverpool, who are spending and up for sale, the Glazers' approach is we just want to sell. We want to sell and we're not investing. And the club is basically at a standstill until we get this sale done. And unfortunately, we're at a standstill at the worst time to be at a standstill. It wouldn't matter if we were at a standstill in February because no one else can buy anybody. But to be at a standstill in a January transfer window where all our rivals are looking to spend, it could be a catastrophe for this season. And unfortunately, last season was a write-off for the same reason. And this season could be a write-off for the same reason. We might be in a position where we're basically writing 2 seasons off to get new owners in and start again. And basically next season will be what the last 2 years have been. Oh, we've bought a load of players, can we get in the Champions League again? And that's 3 years outside of the Champions League for United. Whereas all of us want to fight for top 4 this year, because we could do. We should do. But unfortunately, the owners, it seems, are basically saying there is no money, we're up for sale, we're not spending any money. And therefore, that kills the season, doesn't it? We won't get top 4 if we don't invest in that squad now. And it's such a shame because the squad is primed for investment. It's responding to the manager. It's doing well. It needs investment to continue the growth, because this season has been growth. But can we sustain it until May? I think we're going to go like that, aren't we? We all know it. Just through fatigue. We need to invest now. And it looks like we're not going to. Which unfortunately writes the season off, doesn't it, in January? Roundup of the Glazers, Woodward and Effin Arnold, and John Mertes as Vigard. Look, all I want for Christmas is new owners who walk in and basically say, Ten Hag and below, you're fine. Everybody above, get out. I'd clean the decks. In relation to recruitment and board, clear the decks. My fear is the new owners will come in and Richard Arnold will be there. Look, this is Manchester United. This is what needs to... No, go. If you were part of the Glazers, you were part of the problem. Go. Go and get a job at bloody ITV or something. I don't know. Get them out. Clear them out. And that's not because I don't like them. I mean, they're not accessible to know whether they're likeable, but they are symbols of failure. And therefore, new owners, new people in. United need to go under new owners and get the best director of football in the game. I've played the game. Get the best director of footballer in the game. Get the best head of recruitment in the game. Get the best scouting department in the game. Get the best CEO in the game. That's what United need to do. It's not a coincidence. It's like buying the best right back you can get. It's like Gakpo's better than Memphis. Don't end up with Memphis. Get Gakpo. He's better than Memphis. Don't get the best one, not the cheap one. And that's what United need to do from top to bottom. Get the best people in. And we've done it with the manager. Now do it with the rest of the team. That's what we need to do. Whether we can do it or not, I don't know. The Glazers and all the other bankers are clowns as tumbleweed. Look, I'm conflicted in a way because I'm like, as long as the club gets sold, we're heading in the right direction. But I'm not happy with writing a season off again. I found, I lost my shit so many times last January when we didn't buy people, and I was like, that's it, we've written the season off. And a lot of you were going, no, we can still do it, we're in a good position, look at the league, we're fine, we'll be all right, we can get top 4, and we didn't. And I'm saying it again, if we don't buy well in January, we won't get top 4. And people will go, look at the league, we're fine, Ten Hag's doing a good job. Did Ten Hag do a good job against Aston Villa? No, the team was knackered and Villa beat us. We've already seen the vulnerabilities of Ten Hag and this team when they're asked to do too much. There'll be plenty more Villas to come over the next coming weeks and months. Where we are at the moment looks very good. But come February, March, April, May, we'll have more Aston Villa results where we're absolutely dead on our feet, knackered, injured, and we haven't got the squad for it. And you know it's going to happen. And you've got teams like Newcastle who aren't even in Europe and have got an open checkbook. Atletico Madrid and Portugal star Joao Felix is a potential option for Chelsea, along with Barcelona's Memphis Depay. That's coming in from a Chelsea outlet as well. On Joao Felix, I don't see how United are doing that deal. I don't. Marlon says there's stuff coming out that we can't afford Felix. I don't see how. I've already said it. I don't know how we can afford Joao Felix. It doesn't make any sense to me how we could afford Joao Felix, considering the fact that we've basically said that we can't afford anybody like Gakpo and we're looking at loan deals. It doesn't make sense to me how that would even be possible for Manchester United to do it. So I don't think that we can get Joao Felix in. I've never felt like Joao Felix was the option that Manchester United were looking to bring in, if I'm honest. I hope I'm wrong, but I've only ever been 50-50 on Joao Felix. I like Joao Felix. I'd like him to come to Manchester United, but I don't think it'll happen. Why does this club never learn? Invest properly. Buying a stopgap every year is pathetic business, says Dan Watson. Dan, thank you very much for the super chat. Kia says, when your opponent... I've done that one as well. I think that there's many analogies that I've used over the years, and I normally use the race, the marathon, or something like that. But if you're going out on a night out, right, and you're going out with the lads, yeah, and it could be girls, but basically, I'm going out with the lads, yeah. There's 6 of us going out, right, and we're in. We know we're going to go to this club, and we know that there might be some desirable people there that we'd like to end up with at the end of the night. I'm not saying anything more than that. You might just a dance or something like that. They commit to a dance to whatever or better. At the end of the day, you're heading out with the lads, 6 of you, and you know there's going to be a group of 4 girls there, yeah, and you want to get with one of those girls. Let's be blunt. You want to dance to Dancing Queen by ABBA or take them for a chicken kebab, meat and chips or whatever, right? And you're getting ready for the night out, and all your mates, they're putting a splash of Ralph Lauren on. They've got the Hugo Boss shirt on. They've got the designer trousers and shoes, and you don't even have a shower and put your crappy tracksuit on. Are you going to get one of those girls? No, you're not. And that's what United are doing. There's six of the lads are heading out for a night out to see what they can get. And, Liverpool are there. Just bought some new aftershave. Newcastle got some new shoes and a nice designer dress. Spurs have had a new haircut. Got a nice shirt on. What are Man United doing? Oh, we're not having a shower because we're saving on heating, and we're not buying anything. We'll wear that crappy tracksuit that we wore last week for 5-a-side. Yeah, and I'm not taking any money out either. I'm just gonna drink water. And then you head out on the night out. Are Man United going to get the girl or boy or whatever? No, you're not. And there is a marathon analogy as well. There's basically, if you go out without an umbrella in the rain, you're going to get wet. And I don't know how... There are so many analogies you could use. There's 6 cars in a race from Birmingham to Manchester. And everybody's got new tyres and a tank full of fuel. And Man United have only got fuel to get to Stoke. And they've got a flat tyre. Do you want to change your tyres before you go and fill your tank up? No, we've got no money. You're never going to make it to Manchester. You're never going to win the race. Let's see about that. You're never going to do it. And sometimes these things are jokes, but they're true. How are we going to compete when other teams are better prepared and are actually competing? We're Manchester United. Well, that doesn't work. We've been Manchester United for the last 10 years and we've not fucking won a race. So, we all know and we all moan because we all know what's going to happen. And the best thing is, and I was told this by somebody months ago, United know what's going to happen, but they've got masses of followers, they've got sponsors, they've got shareholders. They have to bullshit them and go, we like to spend in the summer. We believe in what we've got. We're competitive. We think we can achieve what we want to achieve with what we've got. And they say that because they've got to mug the shareholders off, the fans off, and the sponsors off. They don't believe what they're peddling. And you know what they're peddling. Absolute nonsense. They know they can't compete for top 4 in the position they're in when others around us are buying players and we're in the loan market. They know they can't compete. And, Susan's right. Ultimately, are we the 4th best team in England? I think Newcastle are better than us at the moment. I think that'd be a very good game, actually. Arsenal and Man City are better than us. And I think Liverpool would be an interesting game. So there's your top 4. We can get top 4, but you've got to allow Ten Hag to build on what he's building, and I don't think we're doing that. Well, we're not doing that. There's no don't think about it. We're not doing it. David De Gea's new contract talks. That's coming in from the Times and Hurst Class, which we know. Well, you know what? That's well timed as well. Let me just say that. You know what's coming as well? I'm scared to say this, and I'm not the CEO. You know what's going to happen in January, and I'm going to tell you now. Mic drop. New contracts for De Gea and Rashford. Ta-da! They're like new signings. They're like new signings. They are like new signings. That's coming. That is coming, and you know it, and I know it. That is absolutely coming. De Gea new contract. Rashford new contract. They're like new signings. They're like new signings. They're not like new signings. We did it with Martial, didn't we? We did it. I think we did it with Martial the year we didn't get Haaland. We are 100% going to reveal De Gea and Rashford in January as, look, they're new. They're like, no, they're not. They're not. But it's 100% going to happen. You know it's going to happen. And I'm happy for both of those players to sign contracts, but it's not. It doesn't add anything in January, which we need to add. Hurst Class also saying that United's intention in January is to sign a short-term deal for an orthodox centre-forward, but could switch to a versatile forward instead if the right player becomes available for a reasonable price. I mean, I don't get... You know, he also says that the fee for Felix is too high. It's too high. They want a loan fee of 8 million, so we can't do that. But, you know, I mean, look, I'm not even going to try and polish a turd here, but the fact that United are putting it out there that they're looking for a short-term deal up front, what competitive football club behaves like that? That's what a relegation club does, a short-term panic thing to try and stay up. A short-term striker option to get us through to the summer for a club that's competing with people like Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs, Newcastle for top four. Who, how and why is that ever a good idea? Darren, welcome to the Members Club. We're meant to be building, you know, you get dizzy with the message that United put out there. We are building for the future under a manager that knows how to build clubs. No, we're not. We want a short-term fix till the summer. You contradict yourselves completely all the time. Is it a long-term project or is it a short-term project? And why is it a short-term project? Because it's money again, isn't it? What is the point in bringing a short-term option in to get us through to the summer? Why? There are long-term options there. It's baffling. And what is that short-term option? We've tried this bullshit. Agallo, Cavani. We've tried it. What? Just call it what it is. This is not a plan. This is just desperate panic again, isn't it? You spent too much money in the summer because you've got crap people employed at the club. There's no money left, and now you're desperately trying to scrap. What is it? Jamie Vardy. Let's try and get Jamie Vardy. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I don't know what to say. Anyway, look, we'll end it there. We'll see what happens. I mean, all I would say now is that anything is possible. When you're looking for a short-term loan deal, there's literally nothing that can't happen. It could be Cavani back. It could be Memphis. It could be Agallo. It could be something like that. But let me tell you this. The one thing to take away is when Simon Stone said what he said about this. Let me just get it up on the screen for you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way, bottom right-hand corner to do that. When he says that Memphis Depay is a consideration for the January transfer window, Morata as well, yeah, that is terrifying. Just take this away with you, right? Ronaldo did an interview 2 months ago. Man United knew 2 months ago that we needed a striker. Here we are, 3 days before the January transfer window's open, and we haven't got a bloody clue what we're doing, and we're talking about short-term loan deals. Whoever we get in is not coming in at the start of January. This is absolute chaos again. Disorganised chaos. They haven't got a bloody clue what they're doing. They've had 2 months' notice. We've got hardly any options in the attack, and they're going to walk into January going, I don't know. We don't know. Who knows? And this is it. Piss poor planning again. We should have had somebody coming in that door on January the 1st to help our attack with the big games we've got coming up in January. And we're not. We're wandering into it going, well, we'd like to do something. You know, it's rubbish. Alarming similarities between how the US and UK government runs and how Man United runs. Gaslighting, misinfo, disinfo, distractions, misdirection, contradiction. This is information warfare, says James. Exactly. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back at 2 o'clock with the latest news. We've got a show for you tonight as well. Make sure you subscribe, and I will speak to you all in a bit. Take care, everybody.